y'all, welcome back to another episode of Real and Raw with Ree. Happy hump day. We are on episode 32. So today we have a voice note and someone is responding to my 26th episode, which is Vibes and Energy. So they are giving me their response and then telling me a situation that happened with them that relates to that episode. So we're going to hear their voice note. I'm going to give my response. And yeah, so grab a glass of your favorite drink and let's get on into it. So before I play their voice note, let me just say I love when you guys send me voice notes. And this person be on it, like on it. Multiple voice notes. And it's about to be a familiar voice if you really tune into my episodes. So I really appreciate this person. Like from day one, they have been on it. I mean, supporting, sharing my posts, doing my polls, doing my Q&As. I appreciate this person so much. Thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate it. And y'all need to, get in line and send in y'all voice notes. I mean, I appreciate y'all listening and all of that, but send in your voice notes. I say this every episode. And make sure that y'all are rating my episodes and stuff. And to those that are new here, hello, because I did get some new followers. So hello. Hopefully this is not y'all first episode, like that y'all are listening to, because this is episode 32. So yeah, but I know some people start at the very top instead of from episode 1, but I do tell people, make sure you listen to episode 1 because that is my intro episode. You get to know a little bit about me. So I don't care which episode you jump to after that, but definitely listen to episode 1 first. Okay? Listen to episode 1 first. But we are going to get into this voice note. So, yeah.
So I want to respond to your Vibes and Energy episode. I really don't think a lot of people are going to understand what you were saying because I'm the same way. I'm not antisocial, but I am anti-people. I like intimate gatherings and settings. I don't want a bunch of people. I don't want everyone to be outgoing. Like, I like authentic, real relationship, real bonding situations, whether it's friends, significant other, like whatever the case is. I'm not with all the loudness, center of attention. Like, that's just overrated for me personally. I'm not judging people who are like that. But for me personally, I just stay away because that's just too much for me. And I've noticed, I'll admit I was a weird person growing up, but one thing I have noticed and one thing I'll stick to is I've always been authentic, whether it's authentically weird or whatever the case is. I've always been myself regardless of the situation. And being that, and I didn't realize that during those times, but when I was my weird self, which honestly I've been surprised because I do wonder how I make friends, like not even to be funny, but it is funny though. Like I really do wonder how I make friends at times. But even when I've always been my weird self, I can pick up people's like vibes and their facial expressions and how they feel about me without them saying anything. And I've noticed there are people who still stuck around me that really didn't care about me. But for whatever reason, they were just around whenever they could be. And one thing about me, when I go to like public, I'm not really going to say public, but like bigger gatherings where it's like family gatherings with my wife's side of the family and everything. And I really don't want to go places like that because I'm not like a people person like that. I'm always like usually just chilling to myself on my phone, whatever the case is. And even if it's anywhere else actually in public, I always would just find my way just to be like observant, because I don't trust anybody or anything. I tend to think something's always going to happen, so I got to be on guard, whatever the case is. So I do know there is a little bit of trauma into it, overthinking, like whatever the case. But at the same time, I just like being observant, like knowing what's going on around me, not get caught slipping and whatever the case is, because anything can pop off at any time for any reason. And a personal story, and I hope nobody finds out who I am. Just kidding. But this actually happened the end of last year and to the beginning of this year. So I was hanging out with I'll say an ex-friend. Well, now they're an ex-friend. But at the time, I was hanging out with one of my close friends that I grew up with, and it may matter, might be relevant, but we trauma bonded over something that happened like when we were a little younger. But I was hanging out with them. We were talking whatever. Of course, she was going through whatever she was going through. And not to be like hateful or whatever, or like sound insensitive, but like it was a norm, unfortunately. And I've known this. And then I invited her over. She didn't know my wife. She knew of her, and my wife knew of my former friend, but they never actually met in person. But my wife said she can come over. I always try to communicate that. And one thing, this is relevant. She did major in psychology because of personal reasons and how she grew up and everything. So psychology was a big thing for her, and didn't finish for personal reasons, whatever the case. But it is relevant that she did study psychology. So therefore, I don't know. I don't remember exactly how far she got, maybe like a couple years in. But she was aware of, in my opinion, how to manipulate, how to work people's emotions and all that, including things she had to do in her personal life that use those, I don't really want to call them skills, but in a sense, those skills where you can manipulate people, you're in survival mode, like you get stuff done, you make moves how you need to, and whatever the case is. So I invited her over. She already asked me before, could she stay a little while until she kind of gets on her feet, or like finds another place, because the place she was at, she didn't want to stay at, and she was already couch hopping. So I didn't ask my wife at first. I just let myself process, because of course, like I said, I value like real intimate relationships, and we had a personal relationship, like close relationship growing up. And of course I was like, yeah, I want to help, and that's just like the type of person I am, whatever. But I had to like slow down, and like regardless, like we never had that sexual type of relationship or whatever the case was. But at the same time, I was like, I'm married. It don't matter that we had the extra space. She's a female. We can't do that. And I think it was like some days later, whatever the case was, I finally brought it up to my wife. And I was already told, I was like, I wasn't going to ask because I already knew the answer, but let me just like go ahead and like let you know, like she asked or whatever. And then I still stuck with my answer no, because she is a female regardless of what was going on. And I didn't think there was going to be any drama, but at the same time, it's like, why not just play it safe? Let's not even like cross those boundaries. But sometime later, it might have been like a week or so, whatever the case was, she came over. We were all hanging out. She met my wife. And then that's when she started using her manipulation tactics. And I think the thing is, and it's always easy to criticize when you're on the outside and you're not in the situation. But I picked up like something was just like, and it wasn't initially at first. It took a little bit because my guard was down and everything. Like I said, like this person was close. But that's when they started manipulating and they were like trying to play the victim card. Like, oh, I don't have nowhere to stay. I'm going to be homeless. I don't want to sleep in my car and all this and that. And then my wife was just like, hey, like we have a bedroom, like you can stay. And that's like she ended up staying with us for quite a few months, maybe like 4-ish months or so. And the crazy thing is, and it was a learning experience, and we went through like our trial and tribulations in my marriage, but also I went through my trial and tribulation spiritually, and also with understanding people that are supposed to be close to me. My wife wanted her to stay just one night. We didn't communicate that. On the other end, I didn't know how long she was staying because guard down person I know, I want to be the helpful person. I was like, we can help her till she gets on her feet. Huge lack of communication there. And it took its toll. And I didn't find out until like months later that she thought she was only going to stay a night. But like I said, like a lot went into this. But yeah, that's when the manipulation started, and using people and even using me, and it got really hectic while she was here. My wife even like helped her get a job. Like I was gonna help her get a car in a sense of like finding the right place, people to talk to, whatever, yada yada. Just guide her, not do anything for her. But even with all that going on, she helped contribute with food stamps, which at the time it came in handy. But she was also supposed to help with rent. Never happened, to be honest. It never happened. And once again, that it did fall on me. But I was trying to be helpful. I was like, hey, I know you're going through stuff. Like she couldn't really keep a job because she had all these mental illnesses, essentially, like bipolar and all this and that. And supposedly, like when it's cold season, that's when a lot of depression, everything kicks in. To me, it's year round. I don't have like seasonal depression, but she did. And I guess she just happened to be here around the time it was the worst. So she was in and out of work. Then she finally got a job. And then the people at the job didn't even like her. But for some reason, she couldn't understand that. She felt like she was, in a sense, like the star, the person that gets stuff done, doesn't play around, not realizing nobody actually liked her because she was like rude, insensitive, and she was working with kids, and the parents didn't like her. So it was a lot of issues. And the crazy part is, she ended up not getting the paycheck what she thought, for whatever reason. But the person that helped her get the job they basically like they pulled some strings. They kind of found like loopholes to get her in before she was officially on board. But I don't think she realized that, and all this didn't like really come together till like after the fact. But she didn't really realize the things that the person that was hiring her was doing. And when she didn't get her paycheck, she felt like she legit just like, it's like you could see her snap, like see the other side, and think like she's just trying to play games with her and use her, and how she's not getting her paycheck. Like she legit talked junk, put her down. And it's like, you don't even know like what they were doing. And I didn't really realize the full picture, like I said, until like later on. So that happened. She eventually got her paycheck or whatever. And then it got to the point where she stopped really showing up to work, but she needed more hours. And even the person that hired her knew we were trying to help her, so they were trying to get her more hours. She wouldn't show up, whatever the case is. And then she started causing problems at home by like being insensitive with her space that we were lending her. And then to really hit on like the vibe and energy part, there was one night she came home like real drunk. She had relationship issues and all that. She would vent to me about it, yada yada. But of course she went back to the same person, nothing new. But one night she came home or came back drunk. Well, she has a couple times, but she was like more drunk than usual. And she was one of those people that are just like all about energy and vibes and spirituality and crystals and all of that. And it was confusing to me because like you preach all this, but you don't follow it. Or you have your moments where you're like follow it, you're into it, you gotta be calm, you gotta be peaceful, but you're stuck in survival mode and you can't get out of it, or you won't allow yourself to get out of it. But I caught a real bad energy from her when she came home that night, and she was really drunk. And that was the night, I believe, her window busted. Some other stuff happened when she was driving home because somehow I think she almost hit a deer and she ran into a ditch. Like, it was a bunch of stuff, but I sensed and I haven't sensed this like any other time. It was a real bad energy from her and real negative. And then I don't know if it's the same night or whatever, but then she broke one of her dishes, trying to get food together, and it was just like a wreck. And I just felt like a negativity from her. Come to find out like later on, because I didn't realize she drank to the point like she doesn't even remember that night really, maybe just like the deer or whatever. That's when she started attacking my wife. And she thought, and I'm skipping over a lot of stuff, but she thought she took those pieces that you put in the Crocs. She thought she took those from her. My wife took those from her. She thought she broke her dish. She thought she was trying to get her fired at work. Like, just a bunch of stuff that she thought it had no proof of, because things seemed out of order when she became sober, or when she wasn't mad, or when she was like, whatever the case was. And I was just like, this whole time, like during these months, like I said, it was a trial that we all went through, and it was definitely a learning experience for me, because she did use me, and I hate to say it, and I hate to say that I allowed it, because I was just trying to be helpful, be that friend that someone I knew for a long time. But like, you live and learn. And it was hard for me because it was like I wasn't trying to put my family on the back burner, even though I ended up doing that. But it was I was also trying to help my friends. I was like, we're in a stable place. We're decent. We're surviving. We're here. And I know she's in a worse situation. And it was just like, I was just trying to be that help. But that almost, I really believe. And another crazy part about energy and everything, like, I felt something was really bad was going to happen. Because the crazy part, and not to get like too spiritual or anything like this, but when I tell you, my spirit was telling me I needed to fast for 7 days, because it kept telling me, like, doing it over and over. It kept telling me to fast and fast. So I eventually did. And I don't know what it protected me from, but whatever was going to happen, it was going to be really bad and really severe. Until this day, I still don't know what it is, but I felt like a very bad energy, or just like presence or whatever you want to call it. Like, it was strong, and it was like something was really going to mess everything up. I don't know what it was. I don't know how, whatever the case was. But yeah, that's one of my stories that I do even have witnesses also, because people came over and noticed like she was off in a sense, like she shouldn't be here. She's doesn't seem very friendly, and I had to learn that the hard way. And then eventually, just once me and my wife were started like really communicating, like, hey, like we need to like do something, or she wanted me to do something, because like I said, it was hard for me. And eventually she had to get out. She had to leave. And then even when she was leaving, because she did receive mail, the crazy part that really just kind of like sealed it out of, or on top of everything else, she tried to pull since I get mail here, I can stay X amount of extra days because of that. And I was like, that's very interesting. Like, I get the whole situation. I get you don't really have a place. Even though we were trying to help you save to get a place, never happened. Get a good car, didn't happen. Even though she did end up getting a car, but had a lot of problems with it. Out of everything that happened, I understand you didn't have a place and you were trying to get on your feet, supposedly, or whatever the case was. And then you went ahead and pulled that. Like, it really showed that you can't trust people, that even if they are close to you. And I'm not saying everyone around you was bad. Like, no. It's like the discernment that I had to increase, or I had to increase my discernment or mature my discernment. It was because of that. Because people that are close to you, they don't care about you. They're worried about themselves. When people in survival mode and they're drowning, they're going to drown everyone around them, regardless. They can't help it. That's the mindset they're in. But that was definitely one of the times that I learned a hard lesson about friends, about people. You can't trust everybody, but you really have to learn discernment. But that's one of the personal stories I wanted to share, because I felt like that fit right with this, and how that, and I even have other stories I'm not going to get into right now, but like when you really learn to understand people and you sit back and you watch them, because that's what I did over these months, and I even communicated that to my wife. I was like, for some reason, it's like it wasn't like really meant for me to respond to what was going on. I communicated what was going on when it happened. Some stuff I delayed at the moment, but I still communicated it. But that's the time, like at any other time, I sat back and watched who this person really was and what they were actually doing. Because yes, they were trying to be friends and close to me, but they were trying to destroy my other half. And I felt, in a sense, try to replace her and make her seem like the bad guy and everything else and ruin her life. And I felt like that was very interesting, because when I sat back and I watched that over those 4 months, because I was still going through my stuff and everything. But that was like one of the, I guess, most intense experiences and hardest experience, one of them, the hardest experience that I went through, because I really had to let go of somebody that I've told everything to. Once again, I trauma bonded, and I just felt like I couldn't let go because of that, but I had to let go in order to move on and elevate myself. And we've gotten to where we need to be in my household, but that was quite an experience. And I would say one lesson I learned out of that, and this goes for anybody, because everyone wants to like help other people, look out for other people. Don't let nobody in your house. I would say just don't let nobody in your house that isn't family. And then even if they are family, like, be really cautious. But don't let nobody in your house, because they don't care about you. They don't care about your stuff. in reality. They're trying to survive. They're trying to look out for themselves first. So you're on the back burner until they get themselves together. But like I said, don't let nobody in your house if they're not family. And if they are family, like, use discernment. If there's issues, don't allow them, because once they're into your safe space, your peace, things will change regardless. But yeah, that's one of the personal stories I wanted to share, because I felt that really reminded me of that episode, reminded me of that experience.
So I'm a firm believer in not letting people live with you. I don't care if it's not letting them live with you and your spouse. I'm a firm believer. I do not believe in that. I'm sorry, best friend. If you need somewhere to go, I do apologize. I can try to help you out, but as far as you coming in here and living with me and my man, it's not happening. Now, we I hate to say this, but it's a fact though. Like, we learned this in Soul Food when Cousin Faith went to stay with I forgot what their name was. It's crazy that why is Malcolm in my head? But I don't think his name was Malcolm. I don't know what his name was, but when Cousin Faith, because everybody know who she is, went to live with them, and then she ended up sleeping with the husband, and the wife seen them, and it's just like, no, baby, no, because you don't want to get to the point where you pulling knives out at parties and stuff, like on your husband. Like, no, I'm not with that at all. And I watch a lot of Lifetime movies, and people be sneaking and scheming and plotting, and no, I'm sorry. And that brings me back to, which I have been wanting to talk about this, so this fits right on in. Because I was telling my sister and one of my male friends that I know I told my sister that I wanted to talk about, like, when, because it was a post that was like, so-and-so is not your real friend, or that's not your real friend if you don't trust her to go sit in the house with your man until you come home, or something like that. Like, wait for you inside your house until you come home. Honey, no. I don't care if I've known you for 20 years. You will not be waiting in my house with my man until I come home. Like, no, baby, sit in the car. And I feel like you shouldn't even want to wait in my house. You shouldn't. No, because I feel like anything could go on, not necessarily saying that you might try to fuck him or anything, but let's just say he came on to you or something, and then you turn him down. He could flip the shit and say, oh, your homegirl, did she tell you that she tried to da-da-da-da-da? Or the other way around. She could try to come on to him, and then he's like, nah, or, reject her. And then she's like, oh, your man tried to da-da-da-da-da. I don't have time for that. I don't. So to avoid all that, and it's like, oh, so you don't trust him, and you should trust him to be in the house. No, you can trust him in your own home. But I'm not doing that. I'm not with it. And for one, I feel like she should try to, like, match the time that I should get to my house. Like, okay, girl, I'm sitting outside. Or you said you'll be there in 10 minutes. All right, I should be there in 10 minutes also. Like, yeah, we go in at the same time. Cool, awesome. And then my mom never played that. Never played it. So I'm not playing it. She always said no woman should be sitting in the house with your man, and no man should be sitting in the house with another man's woman. Like, no, I'm not doing it. Not at all. So I just feel like, don't let people come stay with you and your partner. No, I don't believe in that at all. It was nice that you let her, that you gave her room to do so. You lend a helping hand. That's nice. That's cool. So not taken away from you with that, but no. I'm sorry. Like I said, if my homegirl needed somewhere to go, me and my man can see what we can do to help you out or whatever, but you can't come in here with us. We not about to shake shit up over here. So I love you, girl, but that's not what we doing. I also agree with you when you said don't let anybody into your peace, your safe space. And I feel like your home is definitely your peace and your safe space. So I just feel like don't let anybody come in there and shake that up. And a lot of people are like, they don't let certain people into their homes, because spirits, vibes, and energies and all of that. And I agree. I definitely agree. I'm all about my peace, my happiness, not disturbing my peace and my happiness. Once you do that, I can't deal with you anymore. So I definitely agree with that. And like you said, even if they are family, use discernment. Yeah, because family can bring you down as well. Like you said, they're in survival mode, so they're just looking out for themselves. And I hate to say that some family members, I feel like, I hate to say, try to watch your pockets, watch how you moving type thing. And I feel like, let's just say you put them out for whatever reason, because you have every right to. That's your home. You don't have to let them live there. You're just lending a helping hand. But I feel like some family members will feel like, oh, well, they had, this going on, that going on. And that's another thing with like trying to help family members out or anybody. I don't like people in my business. I don't mind helping. I have helped before, but I don't like people in my business. I feel like this is my home. I'm going to respect you. But at the end of the day, this is my home. So what I do is what I do. I don't really care to hear your comments. Again, I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be disrespectful or anything like that. But what's been going on here is going to continue to go on here. So I feel like don't come in here trying to make any rules, shake things up. No, it's not going to happen. And like I said, y'all did a good thing by trying to help her out, help her get on her feet, although she didn't really do that. And then the nerve of her to say, since she gets mail there, she can stay there for X amount of days. Like, girl, no, you cannot. For one, you went in there shaking things up and trying to manipulate people. No, and when you were telling your story, I'm just sitting here like, damn, this sounds like a Lifetime movie. Like, that's crazy. That's really crazy to me. I don't know. I don't know. And that's another thing when it comes to like mental health and, depression and all of that. You really have to watch people. You really do. You really have to be cautious of who you are letting into your home, because at the end of the day, you never know. Because it's different when you see people, you talk to people, you vibe with them. But when you are around these people every single day, you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you just have to be mindful of who you are letting into your home, because again, that is your safe space, and everybody shouldn't be in that safe space. They really shouldn't. But yeah, that's a crazy ass story. It's also definitely important that people do talk things over with their partner before jumping the gun, because a lot of times people will agree to do something or agree to something. And the crazy thing is, because I've seen it in a movie that I recently saw, the husband pretty much agreed to let strangers stay at the home with his wife and his kids, like literally right there in front of the strangers, and his wife was right there, and they were having a disagreement in front of the strangers, and that's something that I don't believe in. So I do feel like go talk about it in private. I don't feel like anybody should have a disagreement or whatever in front of strangers about those strangers. Like, just go to the side and talk. And I also feel like make sure that your partner is okay with the decision that you're going to make. Make sure that y'all are on one accord, so there's no confusion and there's no he said, she said going on. And it doesn't make the other person look like the bad guy. Because, for example, let's just say how if you were like, oh, she can stay, and your wife was like, oh, well, I wasn't aware of that, I don't think that's okay. And then, the girl feels some type of way about your wife now, because it's like, oh, well, I don't think she likes me because, she doesn't want me to stay. And your wife now becomes the target, so to speak, becomes the target. And yeah, she's the bad guy now because she's not on board with that. So I do feel like, get the okay from your partner first before jumping the gun and agreeing to something, because at the end of the day, you both live there, and yeah, both of you have to be comfortable. So you don't want to cause, and that's another thing that causes issue between spouses, is because it's because you two are having this disagreement in front of this person, and of course they might add their 2 cents to be messy, and draw and pull you two apart, so just so they can wiggle their way in. So lifetime. So I just feel like make sure that y'all are on one accord, and communication is definitely important. I am a vibe and energy person. And looking back on like how I used to be with certain people, I do not regret it. Like looking back at it, I was probably a bitch, but it's just like I still don't talk to people that I don't know. Like if I get a certain vibe from you, I'm not going to talk to you. Like you can be talking to me and I'm not going to say anything. Or me being nice now, I might be like, a little laugh, but I'm not going to say much because it's nothing that we can talk about. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be involved or anything like that. Like no. If I get a vibe, I'm good on you. If I get a good vibe, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. But if I try to talk to you and you don't talk back, like I said in the Vibes and Energy episode, I'm good. I'm not going to force anything. And it is what it is. But the crazy thing is, like I probably said in the episode, when you try to talk and all of that, and then the person isn't really receiving what you're saying, or they are ignoring the hell out of you, and then you just go on about your business, and now they're trying to talk, and you don't give two shits anymore, they try to make you look like the bad guy. Like, oh, she's like this, or oh, he's like that. I don't know. Do dudes go through that? Because I'm not sure. I mean, what do dudes get labeled as? Because I don't think they get labeled as, like, stuck up. I've never heard a man being labeled stuck up. Like, standoffish. Yeah. Like, do men care about stuff like that? I don't know. I don't really think it's different I don't think it's different, but I don't know. I know women go through that because women are just drama, period. That's why I don't deal with them. But yeah, I don't know. Do men go through things like that? I don't know. But yeah, so communication is very important when, dealing with certain things like that, especially an outside person. Just make sure you communicate with your spouse. And again, this was a crazy story. Don't let anybody in your house. Don't let anybody in your house. No. Give them a good 2-3 days, which I hate to say that because it's like, damn, what are you going to do in 2-3 days? But it's like, baby, I'm just here to try to help. I don't need any mess. But it also just, you have to, like I said, you have to know who you're dealing with, depending on the family member. I don't really know about a friend. Like I said, if you have a spouse, I don't really know. I don't know. Now, if it's just like 2 little roommates or whatever, like you got a roommate or something, or you and your sister and another sister needs to come stay, okay, or a brother needs to come stay, okay. But it gets tricky when it's you and your spouse, and then the opposite sex wants to come stay there. Like, it gets a little tricky because, again, I'm not trusting nobody in there with my man or nothing like that. So it gets a little tricky. It really does. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Real and Raw with Ree. Continue to rate, continue to share, continue to comment. Make sure you hit that plus sign button to follow me on whatever platform that you're listening to this podcast on. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.